Hi friends, welcome back to another session on the operating system. Now let us look at how operating system protects the overall health of the system, and then it secures our applications and all that. So the goal of this protection is to control the resource access and to ensure that every user is not allowed to work with any resource. The resources are given privileges, and only the appropriate users or applications or the application interfaces or the system calls will be allowed to work with a highly privileged system. So in this the innermost ring in the figure shown is the kernel, and that's a highly privileged one. So any activity done through the kernel has to be initiated by something like system calls that have highest priority, highest privilege. So only the most privileged applications, most privileged the interfaces, most privileged systems calls only can interact with the kernel, and this way we can provide a proper protection to the system. So the mechanisms for protection is one is access control. So make sure that the proper users only have uh, access to the resources, and this can be done through providing user or group permissions. So any resource, for example a file, can be used by three types of users. One, you can say the owner of the file, the one who created the file. And the second one is the group members to which the owner belongs to, and the third one is the outsiders or the others. Every file can have three types of access control. It can be read only, or it can be read along with write, or even we can execute the file for the executable file if it is, so we can even execute it. So a user can have three types of access, maybe read, write, and execute. So that is what under Unix version we can call it RWX, R for read, W for write, X for execution. Three types of users. So the first set is about the owner, second set is about the group members, and third is others. So if we want to say that the owner has got all the rights, so can read, can write, as well as can execute. So for the first group we can say RWX. For the group members, maybe only read permission as well as execute permission may be given, so they can read the file and they can use the file for execution. Then it will be R dash X, so they cannot modify it, they cannot write on that, so they cannot overwrite the file. So they have only permission to read and permission to work with it, but they cannot modify. So in that case read is there or execution is there, write is not there. So the positions are fixed: first position for read, second for the write, third for the execution. And group members have only right to read, right to execute, but not right to write. Then we can say R dash X. And the outsiders, they may be only allowed to read, in that case R dash dash. So that's one way. It may be owner only wants to use it, none of others are allowed to use. Then it will be the first three things says as RWX, and second three says dash dash dash, and third three says dash dash dash. That means first one is for the owner, second one is for the group, dash dash dash. None of the group members can read or write or even execute. None of them. And outsiders dash dash dash, neither allowed to read nor to write nor to execute. So that way each file can have different combination of read write execute for the owner, for the group members, and for the others. So depending on the situation, we can allow some to use, some not to use, and all that. So that way we can protect the files and the resources and all that. Then we have domain security. That means there are some services which do require high privileged users or high privileged system calls. So through them only we can access. So we have some applications or the services that are directly interacting with the hardware. So definitely has to be worked with the uttermost care, and all these things are put under the kernel, and kernel activity is allowed only by the most privileged users or the application interfaces or the system calls and all that. So when we are working with the kernel, then we need to work the operating system in the kernel mode, and when the user application is being run, then it will be run in the user mode. So when it is running in the user mode, then the in this situation only the green colored applications are accessible to the user, and only the green one will be working under the user mode, and any other say ring 0, ring 1, or ring 2, then they require appropriate permissions, so they may be working under kernel mode and all that. So different modes of things, so user mode, kernel mode, and all that are created only to ensure that a proper protection is given to our services, proper protection is given to the resources, proper protection is given to the files and all that. Now coming to the security issue, so there are many threats we have as far as our data is concerned. So we need to make sure that the data is secure. So there are various threats we have like malware, DOS, or unauthorized access, and all that. So looking at the various types of malware, the figure shows that there can be a ransomware. That means they uh, catch hold of our resources and lock them, and then ask for some ransom to release the resources, so they can have control of our resources. Like some files in our system can be locked by them or blocked by them, and they ask for some ransom. Only when we give money to them, they will open it. So that's usually blackmailing type of actions. Then we have something called spyware. So these types of threats just enter into our system and keeps looking at our data, what our transactions going on, what all data we have, and silently will be sending to their owner, and all the data will be stolen from our system and being sent to the owner of the spyware. Then we have something called adware, which creates problems through the ads. Then we have worms, so they just come from one application into our system, maybe a mail or something, and then spreads across our whole system. So every file in our system gets corrupt because of this. So it's just like a worm. One worm enters our system and then it multiplies and grows, and the whole system gets disturbed. Then we have trojans which make malware into our system, and then they just start creating corrupting our system and all that. And then we have botnets that turn our PC into a zombie, just makes our system just sleep forever. And because it's not going to be awakened directly, then it's the whole system becomes unusable and all that. So these are the various types of malware, and we should be able to somehow ensure that none of these enter into our system or they become active into our system. Or if they are entering into our system, we should have some watchman system that can make sure that whatever comes in is safe, and anything found doubtful should be stopped, and the user should be made aware that such a thing is happening, and let the user take care about what to do with that and all. Then looking at the defenses, so authentication is one of the important things. So whenever we are trying to use the important components of our system, then only authorized user should be allowed to enter into it. So that can be done through authentication like username, password, or even biometrics today are used to ensure that only the proper user is allowed to interact with our system. The other thing is to make sure that never use the data in the form as it is. So try to modify the format of the data so that anyone getting the data may not be able to easily understand it. So that's where the encryption comes into picture. So this is very much useful when we are talking about the data which is there in the backend, or the data which is on the communication line. So whatever it is, so we must ensure that the data whatever we have should be put in the encrypted form, so that whenever we want to use the data, we should be having a proper method to decrypt it. So that method is known only to the authentic users, and others will not be knowing how to decrypt it. Therefore, we can secure our data and the system through encryption. Also, we can have firewalls. So whatever is entering into our system should cross through the firewall, and if it satisfies the conditions of the firewall, it is allowed to enter. If there is any problem found in the data coming in or the file coming in, then it is stopped to enter into our system. So this firewall is very useful. So firewall is one of the applications of the operating system, so that makes sure that the whole thing is put under a firewall, and anything outsider will not be allowed in without a proper check. Only authorized systems, authorized applications, authorized users will have access to the resources and all that. And then anybody is trying to intrude will be detected, and made sure that the intrusion is not allowed, and proper warning system is used and all that. So that's all about how to protect our system and how to make sure that our data is secure and all that. So all these functions are taken care by our operating system. So our operating system, along with the process management, along with the memory management, along with the file management, along with the disk management, it also makes sure that the whole communication or the data residing in our system, all the files, everything is well protected from the intruders, from the malwares, from all other threats. So protection is given and whole system is made secure. So that's all introduction about the protection and security. More issues uh, about introducing some more activities done by the operating system will be taken care in the next sessions. So please keep watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. And if you find this interesting, please tell your friends to go through and follow. Have any queries, please do write in the comments. So keep watching. Thank you.